The first week of the AFL trade period is over, so let's just get into things and list off the people who got traded. Everyone, welcome back to another video. I'm sorry that I didn't post last week. Just life got in the way. I had to go to trade school and everything, so that just kind of stopped the whole making videos thing. But look, I'm back. And yeah, as always guys, if you guys do end up enjoying the video, make sure you drop me a like, subscribe if you're new. Leave a comment down below what you think, and yeah, let's just get into things. Now these are just going to be in order of when they were done. So we are going to start off with James Jordan, who got traded from Melbourne to Sydney. Melbourne received a second round end of compensation pick, which is currently pick 39. Look, I'm pretty sure Melbourne did not want to lose James Jordan, but look, he wasn't getting much opportunity there, and then when he did play, he pretty much got dropped probably the next week, so he wasn't getting too much of a go. So I reckon if he goes up to Sydney, yeah, he'll have to fight for his spot like everyone else, but I reckon he'll get a bit more of a go, which will be good. Second one was Matt Flynn from the GWS Giants, went to the West Coast Eagles via free agency, and then the Giants received a end of second round compensation, which I think is pick 40. I reckon it's a good move by both clubs. GWS, he probably wasn't going to get a game anymore, really. He was pretty much only there if either Bruce got injured or if Kieran Briggs got injured, and after Kieran Briggs had a sensational year that he did last year, or as he did this year, it's going to be hard for him to get a game. So look, he's going to go to the Eagles. I reckon he's going to get a good run. And Bailey is going to be there with Bailey Williams. And look, he's young. He's pretty young as well, I think. I think he's only 24, 25, so he's still got plenty of footy left in him. So yeah, it'll be good for him. Next up is Joe Hamling joining the Sydney Swans from the Fremantle Dockers via free agency. I reckon this is pretty good from the Swans. After losing McCartan last year, since he retired, they definitely need another key tall down there just to help secure that defence, and Hamling brings just that. There's a lot of things going around saying he's only played a handful of games, but I reckon when he's fit, he's a very handy defender. So it was much needed. I reckon he's going to help the Swans go well. Next up, Tom Doedee from the Adelaide Crows got traded to the Brisbane Lions. Adelaide received an end of first round compensation, which was, I think, is currently pick 19. I reckon it's a great acquisition by the Brisbane Lions. In that grand final, you'd think the only thing they were really lacking was definitely some pretty good defenders. Like, yeah, they had Harris Andrews, who was pretty good, but yeah, like the likes of Gardner, who only played, I think, 2 games up until the grand final, and then you had Leicester, who got absolutely got murdered by Bobby Hill. So yeah, it's definitely a good acquisition by the Lions, a much needed one. Yeah, he's just come off an ACL, and they're not gonna probably have him until midway through the year. But they're still gonna be in the window in the next couple of years. So yeah, it's a good job by the Lions. Next up, Todd Goldstein joined Essendon from North Melbourne via free agency. I reckon this is a pretty good get by the Bombers, joining up with his former coach Brad Scott. I reckon, yeah, with Sam Draper still in the still up in the air about when he's going to be back next year, I reckon it's going to be good. He'll feel in that hole nicely for a year, just until Draper can get on the park and start hitting a bit of form. Like Draper was one of the best ruckmans before he did his injury. So yeah, it just feels a nice hole for the Bombers. And look, North are in desperate need of another ruckman. Coleman Jones and Tristan Sherry are just not going to cut it, so North need to go and try and find one. But yeah, other than that, it was a good job by the Bombers. Speaking of the Bombers again, Ben McKay joined Essendon as a unrestricted free agent from North Melbourne. North Melbourne obviously ended up with a first round compensation due to how much money Ben McKay was going to make, and they ended up getting pick 3. So North Melbourne have pick 2, pick 3. I think by the end of the week they had 5 in the top 20. So that's a very good effort. That's a very good draft hand if you were North Melbourne. I reckon it'll be a good fit for the Bombers. They're losing Brandon Zerk-Thatcher probably by the end of next week due to him requesting a trade to Port. And yeah, just help fills down that key back role. He's a pretty handy defender when he's playing, but yet again, he hasn't had too many. I think he's played only 80 games in 6 years. So time will tell whether his body can hold up. But yeah, I reckon he's going to be pretty handy for them. Now, this one caught me a bit off guard. James Harmes from Melbourne got traded to the Western Bulldogs. All the Bulldogs had to give up was a future third round pick, which probably will be nothing at the end of the day. And look, I reckon I don't really understand this trade. Like I I guess he was seeking more opportunity. I guess he got pushed out of that Melbourne midfield this year. Just couldn't really struggle to get a game. But if you're going to the Bulldogs, like he's gonna have to compete with Bont, Libba, McRae, Bailey Smith. Like they've got Adam Treloar. Like they've got plenty of midfielders. I don't understand why he'd want to go there. But look, I think he brings a lot of premiership experience there, and I reckon he'll do okay. But yeah, I'm a bit confused by this one. Dylan Stephens ended up going to North Melbourne from Sydney. So Sydney traded Dylan Stephens and pick 25, and then Sydney received pick 44, and then they also got one of North Melbourne's end of first round picks assistant packages that they got this year. That's going to be into next year. So look, I reckon it's going to be a good get by North Melbourne. He was a top 5 pick, Dylan Stephens, in his draft year. So like he's got plenty of talent. He just wasn't able to crack into that Sydney side. That midfield stacked. I think he was like 6th or 7th in line behind like Warner, Heaney, Golden, all those kind of players. So I reckon he'll definitely get a decent crack at it at North, and yeah, hopefully he'll be able to show people what he can do. Next up, Chris Burgess from Gold Coast got sent to the Adelaide Crows. So the Suns sent over pick 14 to the Crows, and then in return got pick 23 and pick 26. Now look, this bloke I don't know how this bloke didn't get a game for the last 2 years. I think he's been the leading goal kicker in the VFL for the Suns for the past 2 years. So, I guess they've got King, but then I guess Lukosius this year was able to find a bit of form and just kept him out of the side. I reckon it's a good job by the Crows. They got Foggy, they got Phil Thorpe, and then Tex. Texas are going to be around for much longer, so it's good to get another key tall forward in there, and hopefully he gets his opportunity and makes the most of it at the Crows. Now, moving on to one of the bigger trades, you had Brodie Grundy move from Melbourne to the Sydney Swans. The good news for Melbourne is they got pick 46 out of the trade, and they are actually not paying any of Brodie Grundy's contract. That is all Collingwood and Sydney's doing now. But I reckon it's also a good get for Sydney. They're in desperate need of a ruckman. Like Tom Hickey did his job, but you get an elite ruckman now that'll be able to tap it down to Golden, Warner, those kind of people, and just lace out the full forwards. It's definitely what Sydney needed, and like they've done pretty much this whole week, they've got who they wanted, and yeah, it's a good acquisition for them. Now, this one definitely caught my eye as well. Taylor Adams, the Collingwood vice captain, got traded to the Sydney Swans. I think it was only pick 33 in the end. For only pick 33. That's an absolute. I reckon that's pretty much where he was at. He was pretty much a fringe player at the end of the day at the Pies now. Like, there was just too many players that pretty much did his job better, and he did his hammy, pull on the boots for the grand final in time. And I guess he felt like he could. So, and I guess he's just seeking more midfield opportunity, though. Collingwood are more playing him in that half-forward role. So I think the Swans are going to be using him in the middle, thanks to Callum Mills joining shoulder. I reckon he'll probably be in there for sure. It's just a matter of whether he can keep his body right. And yeah, he joins Brodie Grundy up there. I think they're ranked number 3 or 4 years ago. They were ranked like the number 1 duo in the comp. So yeah, to have them at Sydney, Sydney will be pretty good next year. Another good get by North Melbourne. They received the services for Zach Fisher from Carlton. North got pick 17, which is a part of their 5 picks in the top 20. Carlton received pick 21 and pick 25. So look, I reckon it's a really good acquisition from North Melbourne. Bring a lot of speed into the game plan that whatever Alistair Clarkson is going to cook up. He's a very skillful player. He's a very crafty player, and I think he's just exactly what North need in that. Whether he plays forward or whether he plays half back or on that wing, I reckon he's going to go pretty well. Moving on to the big one, Jade Gresham was finally able to get over to the Essendon Bombers. St Kilda were pretty much playing hardball just until they were able to get their end of first round compensation pick, which is what they got. I think that's currently pick 21, and yeah, Essendon get Jade Gresham. I reckon, look, it's a good job by St Kilda, able to get the most value out of Jade Gresham, the pick wise. I mean, good for the Bombers. He's a very, very skillful half forward / midfielder. Just matter of whether he can be he's a very inconsistent player, I feel. He had a pretty good year this year, but he comes and goes in waves. So I reckon he just needs to find a bit of consistent form, and I reckon he'll be good for him. Tom Fullerton from Brisbane get traded over to Melbourne. Melbourne only had to give up pick 47, so it wasn't too much of a deal. That pick probably wasn't going to get used, and they get in another ruckman to help out Max Gawn. Tom Fullerton, he never really got an opportunity at the Lions due to Big O being that very dominant, just number 1 ruckman. are going to be paired pretty well with Max Gawn. Just matter whether Simon Goodman's going to play the 2 rucks or not. But look, he's a good backup just in case if Max Gawn ever goes down. Now, it's a bit of an update. Tyler Brockman from Hawthorn was able to get his way over to the West Coast Eagles. The Eagles had to give up 2 pretty late picks. I think it was like pick somewhere in the 40s and somewhere in the 60s. So look, not a heck of a lot, but yet again, West Coast don't have that much to give. And look, those picks will probably get used when Hawthorn have to bid for their father-son. But yeah, Brockman it's a good acquisition by the Eagles. He's going to be a pretty good small forward, I reckon, in the next couple of years to come. Yeah, he just has all these attributes that make him look not Cyril Rioli-like, but a genuine pocket rocket, if that makes sense. Yeah, that is the AFL. That's the AFL trade period week 1. We've still got another week of this. Hope you guys did enjoy the video, and as always, if you did enjoy, make sure you drop me a like, subscribe if you're new. We are trying to hit 500 subs by the end of the year. We're almost there. I think we're in the 260s, so we're getting pretty close. So yeah, if you can subscribe, comment down below what you guys thought, and I will see you guys next week when we wrap up the trade period. Cheers.